Hi. It's one of these nights where I legit I'm just feeling off. I was fine earlier. But this is the one though. I have this thing called bipolar depression. I was diagnosed with it when I was a lot younger. My dad doesn't really believe I have it, but I don't know. It's whenever I've been diagnosed with anything, he hasn't really fully believed it. But that's kind of parents though, as a whole. They just seem to be like that. And I mean, I don't really blame him because there wasn't like a ton of tests or anything, but I, you know, like I said, I have bipolar depression. And right now, I am extremely depressed. But there's no thoughts in my head about it. That's the weird part about this. And hey, Brian, I hope you're having a fantastic evening because, yeah, I'm not really. Like I said, there's nothing in my head. It's just this sort of, I don't even know how to describe it. Basically, it's just something that is in the just in your head. There's no thoughts about it, but you just feel like you have no energy, that you're just depressed. You feel sad. You feel like you want to cry, but there's no freaking thoughts. And that is the most upsetting thing because, like, there's not really much to really talk about because of that. Like, I have some stuff that I always think about, but right now is not one of those instances. Like, I have family issues, I have health issues. I just don't know. I don't. Sometimes I don't even know what's going to be going on ever. Sometimes I don't even know when I'm able to do some stuff. I push myself a lot, to be honest. Um, and YouTube has helped a lot with it, but it's one of these things where it's been a thing in my life for a very long time. And like I don't even remember a time when I didn't have these random bouts of depression. And the one thing is about it, this can last, you know, minutes, it can last hours. It can sometimes last days. My worst bout of this was actually a few weeks, to be honest. And a lot of the time I have it under control. Ish, shall we say, but just right now, just want to like break down, but for no reason whatsoever. And it's just one of those things. And like, I'm a lot of the time I try to be happy and I smile, but a lot of the time I'm actually depressed. And people don't realize it because I'm so good at hiding it. So good. But the thing is, how do you really and I don't even know how to describe this to people properly, right? It's just one of those things, and I don't know. I really don't, and I wish I did. And like when I was younger, when I could still do it, like this would have alcohol in it, and that's how I kind of got through it, some of it. And then I couldn't drink anymore because I just get nauseated from drinking. So that's not a thing. Even though I don't recommend you drink through your problems, but it's kind of what I did for a while. Not gonna lie, and it's not like I was getting drunk every night or anything like that. But every once in a while, it was just nice to have a drink and just get a little buzz and just to numb sort of feelings. There was a lot of the time like gaming, I would do that too. Like, and the one thing is, I jump on the game right now and just play some Call of Duty to get my mind off things. But if it goes wrong, like if you know I just get killed a bunch of times, whatever else, it's just gonna compound that feeling, and I'm just gonna get super upset, and I can have a bit of a breakdown actually. So it sucks. It sucks dealing with this. But like I said, there's not much I could do. Like I could talk to my doctor about it and get medication, but medication will always kind of numb you, and that's the one thing I don't want. I don't want to be numbed. I want just to be normal, to be myself. So, yeah, I don't know. And it's tough. But I do what I do. And I definitely appreciate everybody that supports the channel because every time I see a supportive comment or whatever else, it's just wonderful. You know, my YouTube channel is kind of my support net. I do have other people I can talk to. No, I can make a phone call to a few different people. But again, it doesn't change. Because again, there's no thoughts in my head whatsoever. And I have a headache too, so that doesn't help. Compounding shit. Yeah, and I'm always working through stuff all the time. Um, because like what a lot of people don't know about me. So I was born in 1996, right? I will be 27 this year. That's the math, right? Yeah, I'll be 27 this year. And the thing is, when I was 15, this was like a lifetime ago, I was a completely different person then. I actually spent 2 weeks in the hospital under suicide watch. Now, it was partially of this. It was also due to the fact that I didn't have anybody at the time. I couldn't really trust my mom. My dad, I kind of could, but again, like I mentioned, he doesn't understand as much of it. He's very supportive, but he doesn't understand because he's never had this. He's never dealt with anxiety. He's never dealt with depression. It's quite rare to find that nowadays, but he's one of those people. He's not a very emotional person either. I've seen him happy. I've seen him just regular, normal, sort of, and I've seen him mad. I've never seen him sad though. And it's one of those things. And I kind of wish that I could be like that. Never be sad. That would be wonderful, but it's not the case, right? To have your sort of emotions numbed like that, and I can't wait though because this week coming up, it should be fantastic because there's gonna be two major things that happen. So, one, I'm gonna see Disturbed for the second time ever in my life. They're my favorite band. They got me through a lot of my stuff. Thanks, Tim. And if honestly, if you need anything, feel free to reach out. You can reach out to my Facebook, you can reach out to my Instagram, anything like that. And I'll talk to you if you need it, right? And I offer that to anybody. If anybody's having a rough time, reach out to me. I don't care. I will sit through and listen to you and be a voice. Sorry. Um, and that's the one thing. Like, that's what I love about my community. It's because we're all kind of like this. That we can all support each other. And, you know, it's one of those things. And and I offer that to anybody. And even if you're just a random person that has never watched my channel before, but yet you see this, you can reach out to my Instagram, which is Garage. It's one of the best ways to contact me because I don't really use my Facebook page very much anymore, to be honest. Because my personal Facebook, I don't really give out, even though it's public. You can find me pretty easily, to be honest. But that's the best way to reach me, to be honest, is on Instagram, and I will help with anything I can. And Tim, you're an awesome person, and I really appreciate you. It's been a while since we've been able to chat, and like being, because we all deal with something. It's very, very rare that people aren't dealing with something, whether it's health problems, whether it's mental problems, whether it's both. You know, um, it's okay, and know that we're all here. Damn cat. You know, and it's something, because like right now, it's one of these things where I don't want to, like, I don't want to feel the way that I am, but I can't change it. There's nothing I could do. I can go for a cruise in my car, but my car is kind of low on gas and not really worth it. If the convertible was actually still registered, because she's not right now, I'd go take her for a drive. Actually, just bundle up, put the top down, drive around town. You know, put some music on, and just enjoy it. However, she's not registered, so if I get pulled over by the cops, there's a whole debacle that I dealt with a couple months ago. That I don't want to deal with again, because I actually got a ticket for no registration on my '81 Mustang, and I had no idea. I thought that she was registered, and turns out no. It was almost actually over a year out of, or not quite a year, but close to a year out of registration, which is amazing because I've passed by so many cops, and I guess just none of them ran my plate. And yeah, it was kind of disappointing. That was $324. Was rough, but it is what it is. You know, um, but I'm definitely glad though to hear from both Brian and actually Tim, because like I said, Tim, I haven't seen you in live for a while, and like I hope everything's going okay with you. You know, you are you're a really awesome person, and I love chatting with you in here. And even like I said, if you want to reach out to me on Instagram again, and anybody can. Um, because like years ago, and I don't even know the exact year that I had the diagnosis of bipolar depression. I may have been 14, I may have been 16, I may have been 15. I don't even remember. It was a really rough time for me. I didn't really have any friends. I was just not in a very good mindset. I didn't have a very good support system. It was not great. It was the lowest point of my life. And I kind of just willed myself out of it, to be honest, because I didn't want to be in that hospital anymore. Because it was a mandatory, you know, if your parents care, whatever else, and if you are suicidal, it's a mandatory 2 week in the hospital, which it was just awful there. I hated it so much. So I kind of just faked feeling better and got out of there. And then, I just was um sorry, just brain is not working as well. This is something post COVID I've had a problem with, especially. Like I had this a little bit before, but afterwards it's just been worse, where my brain will just stop. But it, my life hasn't been the easiest in the world. Granted, people have had a lot worse times than I have. I fully know that. I'm not comparing. There's no use to try and compare anything, especially since we all can deal with stuff differently than each other. We all have different things we go through. We all have different mindsets. We all have, different ways that we deal with stuff, right? And, you know, because right now, like I said, I wish I knew how I could fix this properly. I just can't. Like I literally am just at a spot where I'm like, I'm gonna cry. There's no point to cry because it's not gonna do anything for me. You know, there are times when I I um sorry, sorry. I just honestly I just don't even know what to say. And I was gonna do this as just its own sort of video, but I didn't. And I don't know. I just don't know. Mm, yeah, and I wish I had better things to say and more things to say. Like I will say though, um, like I am just excited for this week though. I will say that, even though I am depressed as hell right now, but I am excited about. There's a couple of events that are happening this week that are going to be just absolutely fantastic. Like I'm taking my dad to Disturbed, which is the first concert I've ever taken him to. He's taken me to 2 concerts total. He's paid for me to go to, I think, 3 concerts. And this will be the first time that I, pay it forward to him. And he gets to see a band that he's always wanted to see. Because I asked him, like, when I was looking at getting tickets after I sold the Vrock, which is still at the property. The guy still hasn't picked it up yet, but he's paid me, so I really don't give a crap. Um, it's one of these things of going to see Disturbed. I've seen them once, and they were It was a fantastic concert. I just didn't have as much fun because there was a bunch of drama surrounding it, but it was a really awesome concert to go see. So going to see them again with no drama is going to be fantastic, to be honest. But see, and the interesting thing is, like Brian, you say don't overthink. It's not me actually. There's no thoughts. There's legit no thoughts. It's just there. And like I said, it's bipolar depression is like that. Because regular depression, there's proper thoughts involved. But bipolar depression, sometimes there's none. And that's the case with me. That I just get depressed for no reason whatsoever. There's no triggers. Sometimes there is, but a lot of the time there isn't. And that's what I know. That's the bipolar side as opposed to just the regular depression side. So, and it's different than just because bipolar is a totally different thing. Um, because bipolar depression, it's only depression that's just random, right? I could be having the most fantastic time in my life, and I could be depressed as hell. It does happen. I've been in situations where I have been at like car shows and stuff like that, and I just start to feel really down, and there's nothing I can do, and I kind of just sit by my car and just hopefully wait it out. And sometimes it just ruins the entire experience. Now, and it sucks, but it is what it is. You know? Yeah, and that's the one thing. Like with my situation, I am very aware of what's going on. I've dealt with this for so long that like legit, it's been like I had depression as early as like I was like 10 or 11 to be honest when I first had these kind of thoughts this way. or not necessarily thoughts, but just feeling just kind of like down for no reason, right? And it's just one of those things. I've dealt with this for so long because, like I said, I'll be 27 this year, and when you deal with something for literally over half your life, you learn to deal with stuff. It's kind of like, when I got diagnosed with ADHD, which actually back then they separated it from ADHD and ADD, but now it's all the same. I was technically diagnosed with ADD, not ADHD. But yeah, just how things change though, and that's fine. And my ADHD does screw with my depression, to be honest, or at least it can. Your doggos are awesome, and so are you. I love seeing the updates that you send me on the doggos. They are awesome. And it is kind of interesting though, because me and you send so many voice texts that they like recognize my voice. Because you told me that, and it blows my mind because I've never met the dogs, ever. Right? And because you're down in Oregon, and I'm up here in Alberta. I've never been down there. I want to someday. If I can never, like get my passport and get enough money to travel. Because that's the one thing. If I'm gonna do a trip, I'm only gonna do it with just in my car. Sorry, brain. Because I don't like flying. I hate it with a passion, to be honest. It's something that if I am never on a plane again, that'd be good. uh, See, washing dogs doesn't sound as fun, but there's something that's kind of funny because, like, Saber, he's on my lap right now, and my mother actually, if he got out, he would roll around in the dirt, right? We didn't really let him outside very often. I still don't really let him outside very often. Like, I'm going to though, because it's now going to be nicer weather, whatever else. I will let him outside, and I am going to like go for car rides with him because he likes to go for car rides. He especially likes my cars. It's interesting. He's not as much of a fan of the Magnum, but he really likes my cars. Um, yeah, but anyways, my mom would actually, like, when he was all dirty, and even though like cats are some of the cleanest animals out there, to be honest, they will clean themselves. And you don't have to do anything typically. Sometimes you do, but it's very, very rare. Um, and she decided to give Saber a bath, which I don't know why you'd, again, bathe a cat. And of course he hated it, but you know, and that's the one thing. Like, this was a long time ago, and like I said, I was still living with my mother at this point. It was a long time ago, and I don't have contact with her anymore because it was just too toxic. It's just awful situation. Like, once I wasn't even like a proper adult yet. It was just when I was in high school, like in grade 12, she just totally changed her tune. She was this really supportive, awesome person, and then she changed into this non-supportive person. And honestly, her whole outlook for me was literally go out, get a job, ignore your feelings, you're fine. Which is odd because she was one of the most supportive people when I was in the hospital. Like, literally every day, instead of me eating hospital food when she was around because she was a truck driver. Because she was around for the 1 week, not the second week. But she would bring me whatever I wanted for food. She'd bring me anything I wanted when I was in the hospital. And then, like I said, she changed. And she just became this super toxic person. And it's very sad. You know, I wish I could have my mother back. But there's nothing that's going to change that. She is a person that just cannot adapt to anything like that. And you know, I just don't know. Saying that's always rough. You know, like it's interesting because with my mom, every night that she came home, I mean, there were signs when I was younger, but she didn't really display them towards me. But she did drink a lot, to be honest. Every night she'd come home after work and have a drink, and which is not the healthiest thing. Like, yeah, she wouldn't get completely wasted or anything, but she would always have a drink most nights. And it's like, you know, and it got a little worse when she got with Sean, who is now her ex, because they got married and they divorced, which I kind of saw that a mile away. Even though, like, Sean asked me and my brother if it was okay if he proposed to her. I saw red flags, but I'm like, if she's happy, whatever, go for it. And sure as shit, yeah, they're no longer together. They fought all the time, and I could just see it. There was always a fight, and that's the one thing. It was such a toxic household living with my mother for a while, which I didn't live with her for very long. Um, when it came to me being in high school, I live with because my parents. It's interesting. They split when I was only about like 2 or 3 years old. Um, but for the longest time, they lived together still. Because they wanted to be in the same household for me and my brother. You know, and um, they had a good sort of relationship in that regard, as friendship wise. But you know, she kept getting worse though, and until I cut her off from my life, which it's a weird anniversary for me because there is two different things that happened on that exact day, which was I think it's April 7th. I think. Um, just trying to remember, to be honest. But regardless, like when the day comes around, I know it because it pops up in my Facebook memories. To be honest, shitty part about stupid Facebook, but because it's not only the day that I cut off contact with my mother, it's bizarre because it's also the day which I get it, and this sounds kind of funny, but it actually was kind of a sad day for me. Is when my dad sold his truck, his original, or not his original truck. He's had a couple of trucks, but his 81 D150. It's the same day, granted, years apart, but same anniversary. And it's just kind of interesting that way. And like I said, that truck, I love that truck. I didn't realize how much I liked that truck. Until after my dad sold it, and I was actually crying when he sold it. It's so funny to be that attached to a vehicle that I had no idea I had that attachment to be honest. I thought it was cool, but I didn't think I liked that much. I honestly, I could have bought it off him. That could have been my first vehicle. But would I have met any of you? Probably not. I would not have the YouTube channel that I have right now if I had that truck. Because an 81 Dodge D150 with a slant 6 in it, that's not going to get very many views. Just not. The Fox bodies get a ton. And, my channel wouldn't be as big as it is. I wouldn't have met near as many people as I have. I probably wouldn't have met. I probably wouldn't have any of the car friends that I currently have. Which is a little interesting because I have friends that are just strictly my friends because of cars. We don't really know each other outside of that. That's fine. You can have friends like that, just like gaming, I've had friends in just gaming where we didn't know who each other were, but we always liked gaming together. We had that chemistry and it was nice. I don't really have that with gaming anymore, to be honest. Just those lasting sort of things. Just not there because all my friends quit playing World of Tanks, and that was the game where I played all the time, and it was fun. And I've been playing that game for so long, like on and off, because right now I'm not currently playing it, but I could jump on it at any point. And because two of my friends that they're both in the States, my buddy Grant and my buddy Dylan, they we went through a lot actually being in that game, and I helped them out a lot with stuff, and they helped me out a lot, and we would do those really late night gaming sessions, and it was fun. And again, we've just kind of grown apart a little bit. We're still friends, but we just don't do that as much anymore. We're adults now, always busy and stuff like that, and like a lot of the time I can't even get them to really read Facebook as much. I think I have both their phone numbers, but they're in the States, so that's one of those issues. Because I don't have like calling or texting to the States anymore. So, but that's okay. And it's interesting how things go, right? Of how things even change in your life and stuff. Because, there was a time when I didn't know if I was still going to be here. And, like I went through my super depressive stage, and I swore to myself that I would never do that again. I would never hit that low ever again. And I do everything in my power to make sure I don't. Even though it would be easy to an extent to do that. To just go down that slippery slope and do that. But like I said, I promised myself 12 years ago that I would not go through that again. So yeah. I don't know. I don't really know what else to say. To be honest, I just don't know. Of course. Yeah. Hmm. It's kind of interesting actually though, because with my mother, and because when she got married to Sean, she was just being a bit of a toxic person, and for me to get through her wedding, I didn't just get drunk. I got full on white girl wasted at her wedding. 100%. It was my dad's idea, oddly enough. because he saw that I was just going through some stuff, and he bought me a drink. And then that turned into another, into another, into another, into another, and then by the end of the night, I could barely stand. They got me through it. Oh, my cat just farted. That's wonderful. Hey Saber, you're asleep and you farted. That smells awful. God damn it, cat. It's not only dogs that can fart and smell awful. Cats do it too. Oh, that smells awful, cat. And you don't even know because you're asleep. Eh? You don't even know that you did that. Ugh. That's terrible. But also, he's just a very old man. Because that's the one thing that people don't even realize, like, of how old he actually is. Because he's actually going to be 24 this year at some point. We don't know exactly when he was born, but we know he's going to be 24. Because when we got him, he was 2 years old, and then we figured out the date from there. So he's been in my life for 22 years, which is incredible. You know, he's never been away from me. He's always been here, and I love him. And he's always a cuddle bug. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, this. Oh, look at how tired he is. It's a zebra, and I love him, and he loves me a lot. To be honest, he's my cat. Um, it's interesting because for a while he was my mother's cat, but then my mom just like left and didn't really visit hardly ever. So whenever she'd come home, um, he would just kind of turn his nose up to her and not really listen to her. It's one thing if, like, okay, moving out and not being with them anymore because, my dad retained the cats with me. Um, it's one of those things that with him, he is very smart cat in that regard. He has always been that kind of way. And yeah, like if my mother ever came back, he wouldn't give her the time of day, to be honest. Which is, it's interesting how animals can have a memory and remember stuff. Because yeah, he hasn't seen my mother in 8 years, 9 years now, but he would know her when he saw her. And this is a cat that likes just about everybody, but not her. Saber will, if he's anywhere, he'll go up to people, he'll rub up against their legs, he'll jump on their lap, and he's just a very chill cat in that regard. He likes people, but not her, and that's a sign. You know, that is a sign that somebody is not a great person if your animal doesn't like them. Because Rascal is just a little skittish, and even with her, I don't know if Rascal remembers my mother or not. Um, but like, and my mother is the one that actually trained Saber. That's why he's such a well-behaved cat. Because my mom was actually very good at that. But oh, Wasted is wedding drunk. I didn't know that was a thing. Uh, uh, and it's interesting because um, I will be. It's one of these things, Jesse, that I I deal with this a lot, and you know, but there's nothing that, like I said, there's no thoughts in my head, literally none. Um, because it's bipolar depression, you know. But like, I appreciate the concern. Like, I will be okay. It's one of these things. It's a little rough right now, but there's not much that can change that. I just kind of went live just to kind of talk to people a bit, you know. Um, Pretty much, because it's bipolar depression. Where normal depression typically has some sort of thought with it, bipolar depression doesn't. There's nothing. So, and that's how I can differentiate the two. And I can. And that's one of the reasons why I did this. Because, yeah, can I pick up the phone right now and call? There's two people I could realistically call, and they'd pick up and talk to me. Absolutely. But because I have like two people. They're like my two best friends. I have my bestie Kelsey, which me and her have been through hell and back together. To be honest, I have helped her in many many ways. She's helped me to be the person I am today. She pushed me to kind of be who I am. Um, and then my other friend, well, that's Keith. You've seen him on my YouTube channel, even. You know, he, we've just kind of gotten close. It's something that I never would have thought with him, but he's a really cool person, and we have helped each other through a bunch of stuff together. And that's one thing, because yeah, like when I go to see Disturbed on Thursday, I'm actually gonna be staying at his house. I have a permanent room in his house with a a style of bed that you probably haven't seen in a long time, which is it's a Murphy bed. you know, I get to sleep on a Murphy bed anytime I'm there, which is just kind of funny. Because the first time I ever saw one in person was literally going to his house the first time. um, and he's willing to help, like at the drop of a hat. He's such a good person. Um, yep, it's one of those. So it's basically, it looks like a closet, but then you open up the closet and hey, look, there's a bed there. What? It's kind of neat, actually. Um, Now I don't unfold and fold the bed up all the time. To be honest, I rarely do that. I just leave it down because again, it's my room, so nobody really goes in there, um, except for me when I'm there. So it's kind of cool, and it's nice to have that. And to be honest, like as Keith did offer, this was like a year ago, before he actually had the house back, because there was a interesting thing with his ex with the house and whatever else. Um, won't go too far into that, but he actually asked if I wanted to get a place with him together. And the one thing is, the other thing that kind of sucks with him, because I love him to pieces. He's awesome, but he is attracted to me. Now he does have a girlfriend now, so but there was a while where it was quite awkward, very awkward, because he came down and it was a he was just acting really weird, and I kind of just had to tell him, look, you can't, just stop. It's not gonna happen. I'm gay, I guess he didn't really realize that, and then afterwards he's been fine. But just that one little moment, it's like, oh, okay. And we laugh about it now, but it's one of those deals. But like when I'm there, I can work on the car, I can pull it into the shop and do whatever I want to it. It's quite nice, and that's where we did the T5 swap. That's where we did the rear end swap. That's where we painted the engine, all that different stuff. It's quite cool. And like, there's gonna be more work done to the car when I'm up there. I'm also gonna do some work on his girlfriend's car because he bought his girlfriend a Toyota Echo. It's a little coupe. Decent car overall, but the um the headlights are in dreadful condition. Like, and I'll have to look at them and see what I can actually do with them, if they're even really salvageable or not. Because I told him, like, if you want me, I can try and restore those headlights for you, and just so that she has way better vision. I don't like she will be driving at night a little bit because she does work a lot of night shifts, but it's one of those things. And because like I've never actually met her, I've wanted to, and she wants to meet me as well. So hopefully when I'm up that I can actually see her. That'd be cool. Oh, it definitely is. It is the epitome of an Econobox. We should, to be honest. Um, I don't know a ton about her. She is. I can get along with most people, to be honest. Um, and like with her, I've heard nothing but good things about her. And like, she actually, because she has a unique viewpoint, because, well, she's European, and she actually happens to be a Ukrainian refugee. So she came over with the war, and she kind of abandoned Ukraine. And she's been over here for about a year now. So, hey, it sounds good, Brian. I definitely appreciate you coming out, and yeah, hopefully you have a fantastic day tomorrow, and yeah, we'll talk soon. Um, and obviously you can message me as well. So, but I will. We'll chat soon. So, anyways, good night, Brian. Um, Actually, yeah, here in Alberta there is a ton of wildfires right now. There is. Last I saw, there was 66 wildfires here in Alberta, but there might be more. Um, it was actually. See if I can find that picture. Because I'm trying to remember, was that where I thought it was? I need to look at my profile and see if I can find this. Because yeah, and most of them are here in Alberta, which is weird because we normally don't get a ton of wildfires. That's usually in BC, but it's been after the snow melted. We've gotten almost no rain. We got a little bit of rain this morning, but not much. Because yeah, there was a picture that I shared on Facebook, and I'll see if I can find it, of just how bad the wildfires have been. There you go. This was yesterday, and this was 15 minutes west of Edson. I would just look at how orange the sky is and the trees and everything. Like, there is so much of a fire in that area. It's insane. You know. Uh, I hope that the animals are okay. that's really sad. Um, you know, because yeah, like we've had some big fires in Alberta. Um, like there was a fire, like there's been a few really big ones. Like up north in Fort McMurray. This was I want to say it was almost like 10 years ago now. There was a huge fire. It devastated a lot of the area, and just destroyed a lot up there. And the one thing was nice is there was a bunch of people that were willing to help. There was people saying, "Hey," like I remember there was a post that went viral that this woman had a farm and said, "Hey, if you need a place to stay, you can stay at our farm. We don't necessarily have any beds, but you can set up your tents on our property. You can set up your trailers, whatever." They had a pasture, so if they had horses or whatever, they could go out and, actually be able to, have the horses run free and stuff like that in the pasture. Um, and pets were welcome and everything. And I just remember that. And then there was a few others that popped up as well. And I've seen that again now with with the fires right now. It's all over. Like, I'm honestly wondering. I have a wildfire app. I do want to take a look at that. Uh, uh, there you go, Fire Track. That's what I was looking for. I forgot that app is crappy. Actually, I've been meaning to get rid of that. Forgot about that, but let's just look. And that's the one thing. I hope this doesn't like affect things while I'm up there, because mostly northern Alberta, but like Edson isn't that far from Edmonton, to be honest. Like when that's at 15 kilometers west of Edson, that's within like 50 kilometers of Edmonton. So it's it's the smoke that could actually cause me to have a fit. Every year we usually have the smoke blowing in like every summer from BC, and my asthma kicks my ass badly. Edmonton from here is, yeah, it's only about like 2.5 hours north. It's really not that far. Um, so let's see. I just want to see wildfire map Alberta. There we go. There you go. Wildfire status. There you go. Let's look at the. I'm pulling up the map. Yeah, like it's within about a half hour ish of Edmonton, give or take. So currently, there is in Alberta, there is 114 wildfires at the moment. Um, there was actually one in Edmonton. It started up in a field actually, just like in the middle of town. It was quite massive. Um, yeah, because like an out of control ones, because like there's a fire with that's in control near Spruce Grove, and the thing is, Spruce Grove is just outside of Edmonton. Like when you're driving there, you would know. Um, But yeah, honestly, it's mostly actually northwest and like west of Edmonton, and even west of Red Deer where the wildfires are. Where's that one? Because that's kind of sort of close to me. It's not going to spread to here, but it's just a small fire though. Because like look at the map here. Because no, I want to see. Because that is, yeah, it's under control fire. So for reference, okay, I don't know if you can see that. Hang on, once it, there we go. So you can see the fire that is down here. I'm actually up here. So it's really not terribly far from me, but it's one that's under control and it's not going to get here, to be honest. It won't grow that much because it has to travel. That's, how far is that actually? Because that one, it's honestly only about 30 kilometers from me or so. So again, it's really not that far. And it probably will stay small, to be honest. I'm not really worried. Oh, and I forgot. Gotta do this so that it focuses. There we go. See, just like that. Um, it is interesting because like on I've been dealing with like some people that are just kind of dumb when it comes to, so on Instagram, because my reels have been kind of been blowing up a little bit on Instagram, and this one that I did yesterday, it was this video on showing how much of a pain it is to change the spark plugs in the Magnum, which I didn't actually get that done because it was actually just a little too warm for me. Like it was a little too hot for me to be working on the car for too long. And so I posted this video though of, I don't know if you've seen it. It's also on YouTube, it's on TikTok as well. I'm showing underneath the hood and like, you have to remove the intake plenum, which, or at least the upper intake plenum, which to do that, you have to remove like the throttle body, a bunch of electrical connections, stuff like that. It's not a long process. Like it's probably another 15, 20 minutes on top of it, but it's added, right? And that video, all it was just to show one of the reasons why I drive classic cars. I like my classics because they're so much easier to work on, and because when you need to, right? Now, because for the most part, no, exactly, and I showcase that just like, yeah. Now it's an extreme case, an inline six versus a V6. Yeah. Oh, inline sixes are some of the easiest to do. And then, especially like in some of your overhead cam applications too, they're usually like right on top of the valve cover. It's just so simple. And there's nothing in the way, right? No, definitely not. Like my '86 Mustang, it's not hard to get to the plugs, to be honest. Not at all. Um, I can change the plugs in Lilo and not terribly long. It takes a little longer than, say, the inline six, because it's a little tighter, but it's really not bad, you know. Yeah, I could see that. If there was a heater box, you might be a little screwed. Yeah, and that's the one thing, because like some people, like, I think that heater boxes are a fantastic thing until they get in the way. Then they're annoying. Yeah, that's fair. Um, whew. I need to open this window because it's getting quite hot with the cat on my lap. Hey, come on. Oh, there we go. And instantly, that is so funny that he does that. I open the window, my cat Rascal hears, and he's gonna jump up to the window. Or maybe not. Or no, I'm pretty sure he is. He's just picking a difficult way to get up. Yeah, there he goes. Like, you can see, there he is. I open the window, and he's immediately out the window because he heard it. Hey, Rascal. Yeah, no, he's not gonna. He's not gonna come here. Rascal. Nah, he won't. That's fine. Nah, it's not. He's not hiding. He's just too focused on seeing what's outside, which there's probably nothing out there. Although, to be honest, there could be stuff out there. That's the one thing. Living out here, there's wildlife all over the place. There is there's deer that honestly hang out in the neighborhood. I've seen, deer shit in my yard quite a bit. It's annoying. There's the neighbor's cat. They let it outside a lot in the summertime, and that cat is so friendly. Like that cat, if you accidentally left your door open, he'd come in your house and like live with you. That's how friendly that cat is. See, and the interesting thing is, like, we have so the animals that I know about. There's probably more than this, but there's foxes, there's wolves, there's coyotes, there is deer, there's moose, there's elk, there's bears, there's cougars, um, and there's probably more than that. I know there is, but I just can't think of it. Um, and for like birds, like we have bald eagles, we have hawks, have a bunch of stuff like that. To be honest, like it's always fun to see a bald eagle because just how big they are, but it's not the biggest that I've seen. I've seen much bigger birds than that. Because I remember I think it was a golden eagle. There was that. So, um, in Coaldale, actually, where I did that trip down to Coaldale to pick up that motor and tranny like about a month ago or so. Um, the thing is, just outside of Coaldale there, or actually it's in Coaldale technically, but it's just a little bit it's on the highway, along the highway technically. Um but there's this place called the Birds of Prey Center. And it's exactly how it sounds. They have birds of prey there that you can go see, and it's a really cool thing to see. But I actually remember, I think it was a golden eagle. That the thing was huge. Like it was bigger than any bald eagle I've seen. Um, the one thing is, it was kind of having a bit of a freak out, and I remember some of the workers just trying to calm it down, and they kind of had to hold it down a little bit. And it took like four of them to do it. Like this was a big ass bird, right? And it's just quite cool. Um, and I haven't been in the Birds of Prey Center in a long time. It would have been cool if I would have been able to visit while I was down, but I just didn't have enough time because, like I said, I haven't been there in a long time. And it's just kind of a cool place to go. But like next time I'm down there, because hopefully I do want to get down there again in the summertime to Lethbridge because there's the whole Street Machine weekend. I'm gonna try and convince Keith to go down because he's never been. Um, and it'll just be really awesome and to have my car down there too because I've never had my car there. Period. My Mustang has never been down there. At least not well in my ownership. Anytime I've always been down there, it's been in other people's vehicles. It's been in my dad's. It's been in that Dakota, you know. And like we've done that in. So let's see. There was the Saturn SC2. There was the Ram that he had, the 99 Ram 1500. There was also, let's see. And then the Dakota, I guess, yeah. So, because yeah, the D150 definitely not. Um, oh, Condor, yeah, those things are freaking massive birds. Those are huge birds. It is wild how big they are. I'm not sure if I've seen a condor in person before. I'm trying to think if I have. Because, like, condors aren't native to this area. So, at least to my knowledge. Like, we have a bunch of birds that are, like, and it's so funny because, like, in the United States, right, there's this whole thing about the bald eagle being this symbol of, the United States. But there are more bald eagles in Canada than there are in the States. Far more. And they're not a migratory bird. They just stay in one area. Yeah, the freedom eagle. That's more than we're in Canada. There are some in the States, but there's like triple the population of them up here. Yeah, but there's a lot more up here. Like, it's not rare to see a bald eagle, to be honest. It's not as common as opposed to seeing a hawk, that's for sure, but there's a ton of them. I've seen my fair share, and it's just kind of cool. I like to see them whenever I do see them. But yeah. Yeah, see, because you are trying to remember exactly where you are, to be honest. That's fair. Because I'm trying to remember actually, where do you live again? Or at least just rough area. You don't have to say exactly where you live if you don't want to. So I was like, yeah, see, that makes sense. The big population right there. Yep, that makes perfect sense, to be honest. Yeah, that makes perfect sense, to be honest, that you have so many. Because I know, like, yeah, with like in Canada, I'd have to look, but oh yeah, and there definitely is here too. And like even in the Lethbridge area where I grew up, there was a ton of like eagles and hawks, and there was a lot of snakes, and like there was rattlesnakes and a bunch of stuff down there. To be honest, even what's interesting about Lethbridge, because Lethbridge is technically a desert. Although they call it a semi-desert because it's an area that um it just has that sort of climate. So it gets extremely hot there, but it also gets really freaking cold too. It's awful. Oh wow. Yeah, see, oddly enough, I don't see very many lizards up here. I haven't seen that many. Unless if they've been like domesticated lizards, you know, there's that. Yeah, that is interesting. I wonder why. You know, that there just happens to be more this year. Sorry, I'm just scrolling through because it's after midnight here now, so I'm just scrolling through stuff on Facebook. Because memory is reset at midnight. So, you know, and that's one thing, like, because like with Lethbridge, it's such a weird anomaly for weather when it comes to Alberta. Oh yeah, that's true. I forgot we were at the same time zone. That's right. Um, but like with Lethbridge, because it's one of the few places on the planet that you can experience minus 40 Celsius and plus 40 Celsius within the same year. I did it many times. Um, you know, and it's dreadful. Oh, cool. So 1 year ago, I had 1,800 subscribers, and I'm encroaching on 2,800 subscribers. So I've almost gotten 1,000 subscribers within a single year. That's really cool to see that. I like that. And it really is like because I'll do the conversion for because minus 40 is minus 40 whether it's Celsius or Fahrenheit. But I'll do that on 40 Celsius. No, not 50. 40 Celsius to Fahrenheit. So put it this way: minus 40 to 104 degrees Fahrenheit within the same fiscal year. It's wild, wild. Um, you know, and like it doesn't get to plus 40 too often down there, but it does. And that's, you know, again, that's 104. Brutal. I hate the heat for that. You know, I'm like, I can't really control the heat very well. No. It's air. I'll just type it in the chat here for you. There you go. And then there. Just so that it's less confusing. Uh no. Minus 40 is minus 40. It doesn't matter if it's Celsius or Fahrenheit. That's where they meet is at minus 40. So, you know, and it's something that people don't realize. It's like, yeah, it's the one that I know for sure. Okay. So yeah, it's 144 degrees for a range. Yeah, actually, you're right. You know, it's just wild. You know, because again, I've dealt with that more than once. Although I do remember growing up that it never got that hot growing up, but it definitely got that hot before I left. That's for sure. And I experienced it a few times. Hi, hello. Hope you're having a fantastic evening, or I guess night, I should say. It's after midnight after all. Um, Definitely appreciate you coming out to the live stream because yeah, like earlier in the live, it was quite rough for me. Right now, it's not too bad. Mental wise, it's one of the reasons why I did this live and why I named it the way I did it. But it's better now. Hey, and it was 2 years ago that I got the springs done on my car. You know, which I didn't do them myself. I farmed that out to actually a friend of mine, Brian. You know, back when those springs looked nice and new and shiny. It's too bad they don't look like that anymore. You know, but yeah, like I said, I hope everybody's having a wonderful evening, because I know like it's definitely helped being in here and talking with people and just with my mood, because it was sorry, just brain is doing its thing where it does not. It's like sort of a hamster wheel, just or not even hamster wheel, but you know when you have that when you have lag, right, on your screen, you start to see that spinning thing, right? It's kind of what my brain will do. It's the best way to describe it, because my brain will just go flat and doesn't know what it's doing. It's sad. Very annoying wheel. Oh, I forgot about this magnificent creature that we saw. Oh man, that thing is just epic. Because me and my dad, this was 4 years ago, we spotted this absolutely magnificent um like I said, magnificent creature. So once it focuses, come on, focus. There we go. So you see that Ford Fusion there with all the decals on it. It is a thing of beauty. Of all the decals. Now, just wait, because I get up on it, right? And you can just see it was so funny to see this thing, because they put everything they could think of on it. Just every single sticker. And it's just hilarious to see this thing. Apparently it's from Didsbury, and they just happen to be in Sundry or in Olds. So this was at Walmart. Definitely does. Like, it's full on like Ricer, but it's funny, man. Or sorry, it's from Sudbury. Or no, Didsbury. There you go. You can see it right there on the top. It actually tells you where he's from. But then actually something you might get a kick out of. Um, Take a look at that handicap placard thing. It's literally, guy in a wheelchair with flames coming out the back. You see the stuff on the door to say his kills. So motorcycles. He's got 5. Old people on the rocker. He's 3. Cyclists 7, and other handicapped people 2. And what's really funny though, oh, come on, focus. Yeah, only 2. Um, Come on, focus, please. There we go. Um, but what's really funny, because there's a sticker that's right, beside that says not all disabilities are visible, and I'm like, I look at your car and I think your disabilities are visible there. You know, but the thing to cap off what made that thing just the best, it's parked in a handicap spot with an expired plaque. Just perfect. Just I love it, man. When I saw that thing, I just bust out laughing. And you know that was the whole purpose of that guy building that thing, right? Just putting all those decals on it just to make people laugh. And it did its job. Um oh, I guess yeah, because you guys would say decals when we say decals. They're decals. Here. So, yeah, and it's always been decals here, or just vinyls, but usually it's decals. So it's just a different pronunciation, right? Um, and yeah, because you know, welcome to Canada, where we have different pronunciations, and for the same words. And like it is interesting because of there is some stuff when it comes to um because like different pronunciations and which because there's some stuff that is technically wrong that Americans say. Like for example, the Toyota Celica. It's a Celica. It's not a Celica. It was called a Celica in Japan, so that's why we pronounce it Celica here. But then Americans are just like, no, it's a Celica. No, no. That one always bothered me. But and there's obviously a few others. But and that's one of those things where there's a lot of people that have no idea that I'm Canadian, which is wild because just listen to me talk for a while and you'll know. What do you say it the Canadian way or the American way? Eh. Yeah, see, and I understand like that was how it was in your advertising. But it's wrong. Because like I said, it's not the same way in Japan, so that's why. Yeah. Ugh. Well, yeah, I mean, you know, well, Spanish is an entirely different language, though, too. So, I mean, yeah, so is obviously Japanese, but um, yeah, and see, oddly enough, like here, because yes, uh, is there a big Spanish community up here? You're right, there absolutely is, but we have more like Filipino, like a lot more Filipino. I've met quite a few Filipinos, and it's interesting. Anytime you see, a lot of the times, pizza places or even um, gas stations, usually owned by like Filipino. To be honest, it's interesting. Yeah, I mean, I could see that, to be honest. And like, and also one thing, so I'm wondering about, because my friend's girlfriend there, I can't remember her name right now, off the top of my head, but like, I'm curious of her pronunciations of things. Like, okay, yeah, she's been here for over a year now. And see, because I do know, like, I do wonder of how it's going to be, when it comes to. I just hope that I don't have a big ADD moment of where I talk really fast, because she might have a hard time keeping up. So, um, when I do meet her, which I hope to meet her next week, it'd be awesome if I could. But we'll see for sure, because she happens to be a busy person. So that's true. But like, she didn't really speak English hardly at all until she came to Canada. She learned English being here. So, and everything I've heard, she's awesome, and she's a beautiful woman. Like, she's gorgeous. You know, I've told my buddy Keith that I'm like, yeah, like, she still has some issues with some of the pronunciations and whatnot that I know of, but you know, Keith's been helping her a little bit with that. Yeah, like, she is a very good looking woman, and she has a very big beauty routine. Like, I don't, obviously. I can't afford to have a big beauty routine. Like, she gets the like the lash extensions and stuff like that. She gets her nails done. She gets like facials done, all that stuff, right? So, I wish I could afford all that, but I can't. So, it's dealing with really old nail polish and painting my nails terribly. That's my beauty routine. Maybe sometimes some eyeshadow, but I lost my eyeshadow palette. I don't know where it went. My blue eyeshadow palette that I usually have on. Exactly, and that's the one thing. It's stuff that if this chips, I don't care, because I can just put more on. Simple. And carpets are expensive, so yeah, like, beauty routine. Oddly enough, because being a woman can get very, very, very expensive if you're not careful. It can get stupid expensive. Like, get a set of nails done. That's like, $50. Get a set of eyelashes done. That's like $70. Get a facial done. That's another, $50. If you want to get a massage, that's like $200. You know, and then makeup itself is god awful expensive. Um, if you want to do all of the stuff, like, I have now, I got this all for free off of somebody who was a friend, and then I quickly distanced myself from her, because the one thing is, like, she gave me all this makeup, and like, the very at a lot of cost to what would have been to her, to be honest. Um, and because if you add up everything, it's about $500 worth of stuff, to be honest. And she gives it to me as a gift, and it's like, well, oh, thank you, I appreciate that. I'll think of something to give you back at some point, right? But then, like, 2 weeks later, she sends me this jacket that's like $90, and it's like, oh, hey, for that makeup, I want this. I'm going, that's not how that works. When you give gifts, you don't expect something back, right? I am totally for gift giving, but the way she did that, it just really irked me. So no, like, just no. I just, like, just about immediately cut off contact with her, going, that's not how this works. I'm not going to just buy you a $90 jacket just because, yes, you gave me a bunch of makeup. Most of it I'm not even going to use. I still haven't used the bulk of it to this day, and that makeup is like 8 years old now. Hey, yeah, it's going okay. Like it was a little rough earlier, but it's not too bad now. Definitely appreciate you coming out though. It's like I said, it's just I had a little low night for a bit, but it's okay now. You know, it took a while though. Definitely did, but that's one thing. Like I have bipolar depression. It'll hit me at random points, and it can last like it can last a few minutes. It can last a few hours. It can last a few days. I've had it last as long as 2 weeks. It sucks, but it is what it is. Yeah. Oh, and exactly, Jesse. Right? Like that's one thing. If you give a gift, it's because you want to give it. It's not because you're expecting something back. And I like to give gifts when I can, but I can't afford to. You know. Got you a 3D printer for, oh, I am jealous. That's cool. That is cool. I want one so bad. Yeah, a 3D printer would be awesome. There'd be so much stuff that I'd build for my car, and even like I'd even like make shift knobs for people and stuff like that. That's what I would do with one. And like if I could just leave them blank so that if you want to put your own stuff on it or whatever. But I'd make like shift knobs and I'd make like little accessories for your car and stuff like that. 100%. Uh, Honestly, that's cool. Like I do. I think that's really awesome. To be honest, because stuff like that I would definitely do. I do want to. That was a surprise. Well, I mean, yeah, 3D printers aren't fast. Even the sort of modern or like some of the high dollar ones, they still take a while. Yeah, oh yeah, and like that's cool. I would still love to have one because there'd be a neat little side business you can have on that. And yes, you are now. I made you one because you're honestly a fantastic moderator anywhere else. So, and whenever you're here, you are interactive with the chat and everything. So there you go, Mr. Ford guy over here. Yeah. Um. But like, and you know, oddly enough, because like with my Mustang, like my 81, because like yeah, this week, I'm going up to Edmonton on. I'm not sure if I'm going up Wednesday or Thursday. It might just be Thursday, but maybe go up a day earlier. Um, and because like the rear bumper cover and the tail lights are getting swapped out. I'm getting rid of those because the one is my buddy's, and like I was just borrowing the passenger side tail light off of him for a bit while I figured something out, and then I realized I'm just gonna go back to my sort of plan with the tail lights and with the bumper cover to do a unique swap on the back end. Um, it has the normal lights in it. I'm gonna sell the LEDs because they just never really worked right for me properly. I always had problems with them, and I just like screw it. I don't have problems with the normal lights, so I have regular lights back in, but because but like the rear bumper cover is getting swapped out. It's not going to be the pace car bumper anymore. Getting rid of that. That's going to my buddy. He can have that for free, just as a swap for these other parts. And then it's actually going to get a Capri conversion on the back end. Not 79 to 82, 83 to 86, the bubble back Capri. Gonna have that bumper cover and those taillights in it. And it's already gray, so it kind of works out with the body a little bit. It's not the same gray, but you know. Oh, it's cool. Like LEDs are nice, to be honest. They're nice to have, and depending on how they look, they can be really fantastic. But for me, because I like the more classic looking LEDs as opposed to all the ones with a bunch of lights, you know. But yeah, so it's gonna be much different from the back end. So instead of you just need to figure out blinkers. Ah, fair enough. You'll figure it out. I'm sure you will. Because actually, I want to see, you know what, off of the exact car. I'll see if I can find it. Need to find my buddy in the chat here. There we go. And need to go through the pictures that we sent each other. Because I don't know if it's in here or if it's through text, I'm never going to find it. But, I think it was through Messenger because we didn't really talk on the phone quite, or like text on the phone as much as we do now. Let's see here. Just scrolling through because I'll show you the exact ass end that is going to go on my car. It's gonna look good, to be honest. It's gonna be different because a lot of the time when you see those, they're not done this way. So, yeah, that's that Mustang. That's that Mustang. That's that Black Magic. That's that convertible that, if the guy wasn't such a dick, I may have bought it, but he was a huge freaking asshole. And there was that T-Bird that I almost bought. Yeah, I forgot about that thing. And there was those Mustangs and that Mustang, which I thought about buying, but just trying to find that. Sorry, it's taken me a bit. How long ago was that? Like Jesus. No, it wasn't that long ago. No, there's no way. Oh, I guess it was. We don't have pictures of the ass end of that thing, do we? It can be, definitely. Oh, I forgot about that thing too. Like it's interesting, going through like old pictures of stuff and just seeing. Nope, it would have been through text, so I'm never gonna find those pictures through text. So, but basically, so if I search up right now, actually, let's see if I can find a back shot of one of these because I don't know if you know what those taillights actually look like. So it's going to be, if this one loads. If not, I'll find a different one. Yeah, it's fuzzy. There we go. I found it. So it is going to be. Come on. There we go. So yeah, basically, ignore the hatch, right? Just ignore this top portion here. It's just gonna be the bumper cover and the taillights. You know, and it's gonna be quite unique because that was only on Bubbleback Capris, right? So, like, is it gonna look different? Oh yeah, it's gonna look way different, but it's gonna be cool. Um, yeah, like mine's a notchback, in which, interestingly, Mustangs in Mexico actually could have that taillight treatment with that back bumper as a notchback. So there are actual ones out there, but the Mexican Mustang actually has a Capri front end and Capri quarters. They're interesting, honestly. I like them a lot. Um, like, because it's interesting because those like the Capris you don't see that often. Like Fox body Capris are quite rare. Like my buddy has a bunch of them, and I've actually sent like some of those. Well, see, like the one thing is, the Capris, they look unique. If you see a 79 to 82, you might not recognize it's a Capri, unless you look at the quarter panels on the front end. They have a unique hood, they have a unique front end, they have unique quarters and front fenders. Because the fenders and quarters are they're stepped out a bit. Um, Even though it's not actually a wide body, it just looks like a wide body, but it's not. Um, and you know the Capri is a much cooler Mustang, to be honest. Yeah, the front ends of Capris are just gorgeous. I've thought about doing a conversion on the front end of my car, doing full Capri, but I'm like, no. I do want to put Capri front fenders on my car though. That'd be cool, for sure. And I'd like to put Capri rear quarters in the car too, but we'll see. Oh yeah, and it would and that's the one thing. Keep the Mustang front end, but do Capri quarters and fenders, and keep the Mustang hood. The Capri hood is really cool, and I think it's the best looking hood. But I want to retain the pace car scoop on it, so retain the Mustang front end. You know, although it's kind of funny because like my dad, he thinks that I should just you know, and if I wanted to do this, why not just get Capri? Because, and I told him because they never offered a notchback Capri. Like in Mexico, like I said, yeah, the Mustang was the Capri. They were badged as a Mustang, but it's just it's interesting. Oh, definitely, and I'm going to like um. There's still stuff that exactly like wouldn't it? It would be really cool, but it's just they don't have that. No. Oh, okay, that's what that's for. But you know, it's just all these different elements because like the Capri is just it's a better looking Mustang. It's just the better Mustang in general, to be honest. Because they have a little more luxury inside of them, like mostly just like thicker carpets, a little better sound deadening in them, um, and they're just better quality overall. You know, which granted, it makes them weigh a little bit more, but not much. It's not much of a difference considering the power that they made. It's an extra 20 pounds is not much. Um, you know, but it's one of those things. Now, the hatch design, though, like the bubbleback capris, actually, those hatches weigh, I think it's an extra 80 pounds over the flat hatch of the Mustang. But the early Capris actually had the flat hatch just like the Mustang. And that's basically what it is, yeah. Like just think of a luxury Mustang. It's what it is, but it looks better. Kind of, yeah. Actually, I never thought about that, but maybe that was the inspiration. Because even just thinking about it, like the rear quarters are very similar. The overall design of the car, actually, you might be onto something there. I never thought about that, but yeah, like a first gen Quattro. Yeah, I never even thought about that, but ooh, that's a video that I gotta find an Audi Quattro now, and I would love to do a video between a Mercury Capri and an Audi Quattro side by side. That'd be a cool little comparison because they're similar. I didn't think about that till you said it. Right? It would be. It'd be a fun thing to put together. And then not really. Those Quattros are very rare. I've seen one, to my knowledge. Um, it was actually in Lethbridge. It was just a dilapidated car in somebody's driveway, and I'm like, you're really letting that Audi Quattro just sit there, you know? Um, like Audis up here, I've seen a few of them around, but like the Quattro itself, not really. I've seen I've seen more Scirocco's, which is a similar car, but not nowhere near the same caliber of car, to be honest. Like the base form of that not being a Quattro is essentially a Scirocco, but it is, I they might have different engines and stuff like that, but I think the body overall is the same. Um, but I've seen quite a few of those, and I saw may not have been a Quattro, but it was an Audi. Like I thought it was a Scirocco in a junkyard, but no, it had Audi badging on it. I'm going, oh, it's an Audi. That's cool. But I've seen some of the rarest cars you can think of. I've seen them in person. Like, Audi Quattro of the 80s? Yeah, I've seen one. It was dilapidated, but it was cool to see it. I've seen Dodge Daytona from 69. I've seen Superbirds. I've seen basically every year of CUDA. I've seen every year of Challenger. I've even seen the extremely rare. You may never ever see one of these on the road. The 1980s Dodge Challenger, which is interesting because the 80s Dodge Challenger, people don't realize that they made a Challenger in the 80s, but they did. It was essentially it was a rebadged Mitsubishi, but I'm trying to think of which one it was. It happened to have a 2.6 liter inline six, and it was rear-wheel drive. They're kind of cool looking, but they're not. It's the second gen Challenger. It's a very interesting looking car. Um, and now okay, if you happen to be, because I read your comment there, I always like the Quattro, but I like the RS200 better. I think if you are a proper car enthusiast, I think you have to by law like the RS200 better. It's a much cooler looking car. It's a much more unique car, and they're just badass. There is actually, now it wasn't a real one; it was a replica. But I have seen a replica RS200, and it happened to have a Ford Ecotec motor in it. It was pretty cool to see it. Not something you see that often, you know. So essentially, it was like the motor out of like a Focus, right? Really cool to see it. It was at Show You Ride for Brandon one year. Just beautiful car. As soon as I saw it, I just like made a beeline for it. I could not find the owner though, but just very very neat car. And I've asked the guy if I could film it, and now he did say yes, but unfortunately he said, well, at car shows or whatever, I could let you film it. But I'm like, see, car shows doesn't really work for me that well because of there's usually live music in the background. Like I asked, like if I could meet him somewhere or like even at his house, I'd keep it totally confidential of where it was. Um, you know, and go from there, but he just didn't go for it. It's sad because the guy has some really, really cool cars. Um, he's got an Instagram actually. I'd have to find it. Let's see, because I think there you go. Yeah, West Side Widowmaker. He's got some really interesting stuff. So he's got 5 very unique vehicles. He's got the RS200 that's a replica. He's got a Ferrari FF. He's got an Audi R8 GT. He has a BMW 325i M-Tech 2, and he happens to have a Fiat Uno Turbo Mark 1. Just a very unique collection, right? He did own a Renault Clio V6, which is one of the coolest cars ever, to be honest. They're mid-engine, they're a little hatchback, they're really cool. Um, and he had actually a Lancia Delta Evolution. You know, again, one of the coolest cars ever made. And he actually had an Escort Cosworth. Um, yeah, like a Ford Escort Cosworth. Just yeah, a very odd mix, right? Um, let's see if I can find pictures of. Let's see. Just trying to find pictures of his RS200. Oh yeah, they're a full on rally car. The RS200 is too, but it's just very very neat. There you go. Actually, finally found a picture of it. Had to scroll down a ways on his Instagram. Come on. There you go. And now, if you're wondering, that little Ferrari Indy car, that's not his. And yeah, they did. But like you can see that replica RS200 there. And it looks real. Like, you know, the only thing that gave it away when I saw it at Show You Ride for Brandon there, um, the one thing that gave it away was the valve cover of it saying it was either Ecotec or Zetec. Oh, they're extremely low. Um, you know, come on. Come on. Get out of this, you stupid thing. Please focus. I wish I could make it manually focus, but I can't. So dumb. That's annoying. It's not the worst it could be though. Let's see. Let's do that. No. Eventually. It's just really annoying looking at it. But what's interesting about because that little Ferrari open wheel car there. So the thing is, I've seen it in person. The thing is loud as hell, and it actually happens to be a he built it himself. It's a home built car, and it's just very very neat. It runs I think it's like a Hayabusa motor that makes about 300 horsepower, but the thing weighs it's like 600 kilos. It's light as hell, right? And but unfortunately, like it he sold it finally. But he makes just makes such cool things. And like his Instagram is how is that straight legal? And he because he makes these sort of race cars, but that are street legal. That little thing was straight legal. It was loud as hell, but it was straight legal, which is cool. Um, and like the new one that he's working on, is this little because I'm not sure what it's supposed to be. It's like a sort of prototype race car when you look at it, because you can kind of see, the front end of it there beside his old open wheel car that he had, right? You can see it here, and that's actually him himself with that thing. And that's it in the trailer. Look how tiny it is, right? If I scroll up here though, because like you can see the back end, right? And he got the prototype thing on there. It's just a super cool sort of rig. I would love to film this guy's stuff. It is just absolutely incredible. Like if you want to follow along with this guy, um, I could put a link in the chat actually for you if you want to follow him. Because actually, it's literally just actually I don't even have to send you a link. I could just do this. That's the dude's Instagram if you want to go follow it, to be honest. Because that one, it's just super unique to see stuff like that, and just wild one-off customs that the guy makes. He has a YouTube channel too, I believe. It's worth following because it's cool. I would like to message the guy and see if especially that prototype car is done, if I could do a video on it. I don't have to drive it. It would be cool too, but I understand if he doesn't let me drive it, that's totally cool. I'd never ask people if I can drive their car. If they offer, that's the only time I drive their car, basically. So but yeah, and it's one of those things that I would just because even like oddly enough, like because something that happened. Oh, there you go. I was pretty sure he had a channel. I've seen a couple of his things, but I haven't seen his videos in a while. I don't know if he just hasn't uploaded recently or what, but like on Monday, because I went to Calgary to drop my dad off at the airport, and then after I dropped my dad off, I visited with my buddy Teen Mechanic, and the thing is, we we went to the junkyard together. We just had a little junkyard adventure, and that's where we spotted that AMC Matador in the junkyard. There was other things that we spotted as well. Like there was a Volvo 240, which is such a super cool car, and there was a few others that were just quite neat in there. He's doing well actually. He's he was actually driving the Eldorado, which was cool. And the only reason why like he wasn't driving the T-Bird, because the T-Bird makes more sense to drive, and that's only because the T-Bird runs on propane, right? But it was out of propane apparently, and he couldn't get it filled properly, like without like towing it or something like that. Because I told him like he could probably do a transfer from a propane bottle, like from his barbecue to it, just to get him to a station to fill it up properly. Just like a nice 20-pound bottle will get you to a station for sure. But he was having issues like with the valve or something, so um no, to be honest. No, you don't have to. Because the one thing is with the tow truck out at Greg's, because we actually run it off of a it's got the propane tank, but we actually disconnect that line and actually we connect it straight to the 20-pound tank. But you can, because you can do it two ways. Like it's easier if the tank is heated up. Yeah, to be honest, it's the easiest way to make it go out. But if you hold the bottle upside down, you turn the thing on, and you have it above, gravity will feed the propane. So it's one of those things, you know. But he was saying he was having an issue with the valve. So it's one of those things. He'll get it back on the road. It won't take long. He is going to be selling it though, um, which I understand, but to a certain degree, it'd make more sense if he sold the Eldorado, because the Eldorado, um, yeah, it is. It's immaculate. There's nothing wrong with it. I've seen the car. It's a beautiful car in amazing condition. There's almost like no flaws to it whatsoever. Like there's a couple little nicks in the paint or whatever else, but other than that, it's mid. Um, and just the only thing that's not factory is the propane conversion. Now, the timing on that thing is dialed back so far apparently. Like, and he says it's got no guts. I'm like, yeah, because you need to advance the timing. Because the one thing is with propane vehicles, compared to regular gas vehicles, you can advance the timing quite a bit. He could, but then he'd also have to find a gas tank because they removed the fuel tank when they did the swap, which I don't know why. Like, why wouldn't you just have it as a dual fuel instead? I don't understand that. I would have much rather did that, because the one thing is with a propane system, you can have the propane carburetor and it still runs off of gasoline. Because oddly enough, with the propane style carburetors, they're not actually a carburetor, but I'm trying to think the actual term of it. Um, you can you can run it off that. And to be honest, actually here in Alberta, not every station has propane, but a lot of them do. You can get propane at most stations, to be honest. It's not a problem. And propane is a lot cheaper than gasoline. So, but that's one of those things, like with that thing, because you can run it off of gasoline, to be honest. With the propane setup, you can. Even there was a at times with that piece of crap tow truck that we have that runs on propane, we have to prime the system, we'll put gas straight down the freaking again, it's not a carburetor, but I don't know what it's called. But pour gas straight down there, it primes the system and it'll run just fine, to be honest. It's interesting how they work. And that's not a dual fuel truck, that's a pure propane truck. But it's one of those things. Like, and he'd have to try to find a fuel tank though for a Thunderbird, which good luck with that. I don't even know what would be interchangeable with it. Would you have to get a custom tank build? Because I don't think you can get a brand new one. So it's one of those things. And but when I saw him, because I got to drive his Cadillac. That Eldorado is amazing. Your driving position in it sucks though, because the one thing is, it's so weird in the Eldorado because you'd think it's a personal luxury vehicle. You think everything would just be set up nice just to cruise down the road, but so because it happens to be an El Clasico Eldorado, it's got these really poofy seats, right? And then there's not much room between your legs and the steering wheel, although I think it has tilt column in it. But I didn't tilt the column. It's well, cause like, and I'll finish what I'm talking about. So when I drove it, cause I didn't drive it very far, I basically just drove it down the block and back, and then he did let me actually he said, yeah, if you want to get on it, you can. So I actually launched it a little bit. There's no tachometer, so I didn't know what to rev it up to. Just rev it up a little bit, and then get off the brake, and the thing flies. That thing is fast for a 5,200 pound pig, to be honest. But it's got the CAD 500 in it. So and it's a 73, so that's before all the really bad emissions and knocking the compression weight. So it definitely helps. It's got like over 400 foot-pounds of torque. It's a beast of an engine. And it's just, but I drove it, and the thing is, so the brake is in a perfect spot. The gas pedal, though, it's actually off to the right a bit. So your leg, instead of being, straight in line like this, so this is your two legs, right? Your right leg is kind of like this. So it's kind of weird why they put the gas pedal there. I would personally move the pedal over a little bit, but other than that, that's just such a minor gripe, though. It is a little annoying, but other than that, it's fantastic. I love that Eldorado. The roof is it's quite crusty though. So like it's gonna need a bunch of rust repair in the roof. But because actually, I don't know if you saw, because on Instagram, yeah, because I think did I put those up on Instagram? I just need to look. Yeah, I did. So if you look up on Instagram, actually, you'll see pictures of his Cadillac and my car. So I drove his caddy, and then I actually let him drive my Mustang, to be honest. And now because he's not much of a hot rodder, right? So the thing is, when he jumps in my car, because I know he can drive stick, and I just told him because, like, yeah, he can drive a manual, no problem. He's driven a few, so and my car is stupid easy to drive as a manual. Like it's one of the easiest because the thing is, the grab point for the clutch is quite high. So that is always a bonus when you're driving a car. And the shifter, it's just nice and smooth. It's a short shifter and there's no issues whatsoever with it. It's perfect, right? So you can always find the gears, no problem in it. And it's not too short that it's like nearly impossible. Like a shift plate is stupid, but yeah, no, I have stalled the inline six to be honest a couple times, just being dumb, and you think, oh, I've got enough throttle for this. Oh shit, no, I don't. Because you do need to give it a little bit of throttle. Not so much when you're going backwards. It's got enough sort of torque to go backwards, but forward you definitely need to use a little bit of throttle. See now, that's something I wonder because yeah, like your truck is a stick, like, or at least yeah, is your truck a stick? Actually, I don't remember. Okay, it's an auto. Okay, that makes sense. And yeah, and then you stalled it because it wasn't warmed up. That makes sense. I was like, because this is a stick. I'm going, how the hell do you actually drive that? Because of yeah. See, that's fair. See, now I do wonder like something, and I wonder how hard this would be to kind of set up. Because I don't know if you've seen the shifter on a Tucker. Um, because like on a Tucker, it's a manual transmission in it, but what's weird is it's not a floor shifter and it's not like a 3 on the tree. It's actually just this tiny little H pattern shifter that's off of the steering column. And you know, you just kind of flick it with your thumb essentially into the gears. And something like that would be kind of cool actually. Like that would work. Yeah, like go look up you know, a Tucker shifter. They're really neat. The Tucker itself is just a wild card to begin with. But, you know, yeah, and I think he would. I just think the clutch engagement might be a little interesting. Just because of like how much force it takes. Because one thing with like, you know, the hand um that could work, an air powered clutch. Yeah, I can see that working. Because I was just thinking like depressing the clutch because there's quite a bit of rebound, right? Try to push that with the hand. Um, you know, of like for a hand control. So actually, yeah, like something like either electronically operated that you could do it quick, or like an air that could work too. Yeah, that could work. Yeah, that actually could work pretty well. You know, you just got to make sure like of the speed that it goes and that it's not too much. You know, yeah, like I said, it'd just be a lot of trial and error to set it up right, but that would actually be kind of cool to see that. That would be a cool sort of setup, to be honest, to see. Um, you know, I would. That's something that I would like to see, to be honest. That'd be cool. Yeah, see, I didn't know that you did that with your hatch on on the Bronco there, which it is interesting. Yeah, it makes sense, to be honest, because you know, like I said, and actually like error, it makes sense. Um, because like I'll turn like if you were going to do some spirited driving, I do wonder if instead of an air system, if say a pneumatic system, or not pneumatic, but like hydraulic system would be better. Um, you know, I'm not sure because I'm just trying to figure out like how you'd set it up. Because you'd either have it would pull from the backside or it would push. You know, you mount it up on the dash or you mount it to the firewall. I'm not sure how you'd want to do it, but it also depends on like where's the engagement point too, right? True. I was just thinking, like I said, with any spirited driving you might do, I was just wondering if, like, the air, if it would just run out too quickly. That's all. Yeah, that's fair. True. Like that definitely helps. Um, because I'm just thinking now, it's a lot more forces involved. Um, when dealing with this whole thing, because like you know, battle bots, right? It used to be that the air flippers just dominated. You know, like Bronco used to dominate with an air flipper, but then Hydra came out with a hydraulic system, and he can just keep firing it off every single time, and it never loses pressure where air does over time, right? So now that's obviously much more extreme. That's you know battle bots, right? It's not you know bang shifting a clutch, but it's just something that I've kind of thought about, you know, with that way. It's just kind of interesting. Now the air, like something with the air that's nicer than the hydraulic though is, you know, if it leaks, well, it's just air leaking. It's not hydraulic fluid, so there's that. True. I mean, I typically don't rev match when I drive stick, because it's one thing of just trying to find the point of rev matching, you know. See, alternatively, yeah, like a sequential box would be fantastic, or even if you could get one of those. They actually do make clutchless transmissions. Like they mostly in like race car setups, but like Jericho actually builds them. Like a clutchless Jericho 4-speed. They're freaking cool, man. Um, which it's so weird how they work. Cause yeah, um there is no clutch. It's just straight up you're banging gears with it. I guess yeah, there it's true actually. There is like that to just get going, but like to actually shift it, it's perfect. You know, but I like the those like the sequentials are interesting. Where you just it's similar to like a flappy paddle setup, but it's not obviously flappy paddles. But honestly, like it's just cool. True, the Lankos are weird. They're really neat, but they're weird looking because it's literally every gear has its own shifter. It's just a bit odd. Um, because like I the only unfortunate part because like all the electronics involved, but it doesn't look as cool. Although I do wonder. So for any of these, um, like for any of these flappy paddle gearboxes, right? That we call them, your dual clutches, because some of them are essentially just a manual, anyways. I wonder if you could make it work where, because like some of them, it's quite easy to swap. You just put a clutch pedal in, and um, there's a few other things you have to do, but it's really not that hard in the end. Like the BMW DSG gearbox, I think it's called. The automatic and the manuals are the same. It's the same gearbox, just one is electronically controlled, the other one's not. And I do wonder if something like that would work or not, or even like those floppy paddle like 7 and 8 and even 10 speeds. I wonder if you could adapt those in one of your old vehicles, even though the electronics might be a nightmare. That's the only trick to those. But I don't know if you would even like the floppy paddle engagement or not. Because alternatively, like the floppy paddle would be kind of cool because you could have it just as an automatic if you wanted to, or you can manually shift it. Just as soon as you flick it, it shifts the gear. They're fun to play with, to be honest. Floppy paddles, I've played with them a bit. I mean, you could. It's just interesting stuff, right? I just stuff I've thought about in my head of just weird sort of things. Yeah, it would be. Um, but like, and even like some weird stuff I've thought about in my head because I have seen so like on the tree, for an age pattern, obviously 3 on the tree, that's definitely a thing. Um, having a power glide again on the tree, I've seen that. Even though power glides are like automatics, but you still have to shift it into high gear. Um, but I have seen people adapt 4 speeds into 3 on the tree that way. And I've always wondered, like, could you actually do a 5-speed conversion on the tree? I've always wondered, like, could you actually make it work, or is it just too complicated? Because 4 speeds I've seen, I've never seen a 5-speed though, which like it defeats the purpose other than for like extra fuel economy. Yeah, That would be nice, actually. Because I'm trying to think, actually, like, yeah, because this is in your 65 truck or your 66, whatever it is. Well, see, that's cool. I actually do. I want to make, yeah, 65. Okay, I can remember for sure. Yeah. See, like in my 81 Mustang, I want to make a gated shifter for the T5. It'd be so cool. But it's just it'd be figuring it out, um, and making it work because it's something I really want to do. It'd just be so cool, and I could get rid of the shift boot and just have a gated manual shifter, man, because it makes noise. It doesn't click like a Ferrari or a Lamborghini that has a gated manual, but it does make a little bit of a noise when you shift it because it's just metal on metal, right? Oh, yours actually makes a click. That's cool. I wish mine did. But yeah, like, and that's something because even if I had like a 3D printer, I could make myself one. Make myself a nice gated shifter that would fit in there. But a shift gate. But I don't have one, so. And that's one thing because like I could make one out of wood, and then have a machine shop make me one of the metal. But hey, sounds good. Yeah, I'd be curious to actually hear that because that's cool. So yeah, I would be interested to see that because that's cool. And I like those weird sort of things, as you know. Let's take a look here. Oh, that's perfect. I love that. That's such a good noise. Like that is such a good noise. Ah, fair enough. I like that because mine it doesn't have that click. I wish it did. I don't know if I have a video or I have to have a video of me going through the gears. I'd have to find that. Yeah, I don't know how I'd be able like the only way how I'd be able to add a click, I'd have to have it as sort of a because I know how I'd be able to do it is in the gate itself. What I'd have to do is add like basically a piece of like a couple pieces of metal that just nice quick release thing, right? That would cause the click. Like, so they kind of act like this, and then when you hit it, it kind of goes like that, and then when they hit each other, it would click. But am I gonna do that? No, that's just an added complication of just dumbness, just to have a satisfying click, you know? You know, but like it's interesting because yeah, for sure, and it wouldn't need to be. Because right now, like there isn't a gate period up top, right? If there's not even technically a gate down below, it's just, you know, or I guess there is technically a gate down below. There's just not one up top. Oh, definitely. Like, you know, out of aluminum, I'd actually want it out of like a piece of billet, to be honest. That'd be cool. But I'd have to go to like a machine shop and get it made out of like a billet that's like quarter-inch thick steel, right? Or quarter-inch aluminum. It would just be a beautiful looking piece that would really set off the interior, right? And that's what I want to do that, but it's costs that I don't have, because it probably cost me 50, maybe $100, to be honest, to get that made, because I don't have the skills or the equipment to get that made. It might even cost a little more than that, because I don't know, because they'd probably laser jet it is my guess, or like water jet table. It can. Like, because one thing is, I'd have to make a template that would work really good, and then just have them transfer that into a computer that has like a water jet table, and then have them build that. Because could I technically like, I could make one. If I had a bandsaw, and I would need a router that has the bit on it that's rounded for aluminum, like billet aluminum, and I could build one, but it's just it wouldn't look as good as a laser cut or a water jet cut, right? But yeah, like it definitely does. And you know, and it's just getting the whole pattern proper. Because basically, what I'd have to do for this is I'd have to measure in between. Um, so I'd have to take the boot off and then shift it through the gears, right? And oddly enough, like I do have a clip. I need to find it. Um, because you can actually hear how it sounds. I just gotta find it. Oh yeah, it would take a while, you know, to do it by hand. I'd much rather, like I said, just get it built out of billet. But you know, but like I said, you know, I'd measure and then make it out of wood, um, and then do it that way. Because like oddly enough, with wood, it's pretty forgiving. It's not too bad. Because like cardboard just isn't as good for that, to be honest. There you go. Hang on. Um, I'll send you the actually, so the noise that mine makes. There you go. Like that's without the car running. Oh, you have heard it. Okay. Um, Because yeah, like, and it's such a satisfying noise. It doesn't click, but man, is it a good noise, right? I like that sound that it makes. So, you know, but yeah, like I said, with that noise, see, and if it hits the gate, it wouldn't click. I don't think, because it would just make more of like a sort of clang noise. I think, like I said, you'd have to have like some rollers or something like that for it to make a click. Because like I could actually, that's something I could do. So instead of doing um like I mentioned, the two small pieces of metal and having that click, I could, it'd be a little different of a noise, but I could do like a ball bearing design at each gate and have it do into there, right? It would make an interesting noise doing that. I'd have to experiment, but honestly, is that something I'm gonna do? I don't think so. I think I'd just much rather just have it straight up as a gate because then it would look really good, and there isn't gonna be something um I really like, and it would add an interesting feel too. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what I figure out, what I come up with, because like I said, you've heard my just weird ideas I have in my head, right? I can always sort of figure this stuff out, and if I can't, I know people that can, because Roy Marco is one of those guys that could figure this shit out. He's quite a good engineer, to be honest. So, oh, exactly, and that's something that, like, I would start with that, and who knows, maybe I would make it work with doing other things with it, right? So we'll see. We'll see for sure. Oh God. Exactly, and I always could. That's the beauty of it. A little bit. I mean, I'm not like at a point where I need to go to bed yet because I'm not at that point. Just a little tired. I also have a headache too. I've had a headache most of the night. Like basically right after Novotaz's stream ended, which I was surprised not to see you there, but I guess you were just busy. Um, yeah, it does, but it is what it is, right? Fair enough. Um, it wasn't a very long stream. We usually go to like basically midnight or so. Well, we didn't. Um, we only did it for what, like maybe 2 hours total, something like that. I'd have to look actually. How long was the live stream? It was, yeah, just under 2 hours. It was an hour and 54 minutes, and I was a little bit late getting in, so um, I got in like about 5 minutes in or so, because I happened to be driving back home because I went out to Olds, and I was literally just going out there because I had a voucher for like free pizza, so I got free pizza. Although, well, actually, technically, I upgraded it to a large, so it wasn't free. It was $4, and then I got this other stuff with Pop, which I love that cheesy bread stuff. It's amazing. But yeah. So this will just be my food for like, it was dinner tonight, and then it's gonna be food for tomorrow. Perfect, right? Basically, spending about $13 all in is gonna feed me for a couple of days, right? But yeah, I just wanted to check something really quick there. But yeah, no, I really can't wait for what's gonna happen with the car because like while I'm up in Edmonton this week, like that bumper cover and taillights, they should probably be in before the dyno day. The dyno day is gonna be Saturday, so it doesn't give me a lot of time. Like basically it'll be Friday, which I mean, swapping the bumper cover is only gonna take me give or take an hour. So yeah, oh definitely. But then also like seeing how little of power my car makes. Like the bumper, odd enough, because the bumper cover, like it's gray as it is, so that's gonna actually match the car a little better than the pace car bumper, to be honest. But I am going to paint the bumper. Might not be while I'm there. I might do that here. And definitely, like, as one of the things, I'm actually gunning for the least amount of power made at the thing. Like, yes, I'm going to do everything in my power to have as a bigger number on the dyno, but I am not going to I'm not going to intentionally sabotage the car though to make it make low power. Right? Like it'd be really cool. I don't know if it's going to make this, but it'd be really cool if it makes 110 wheel horsepower and like 200 foot-pounds of torque. I don't think it does, but that's what I'm hoping for, right? So we'll see. We'll see. And I honestly like can't wait for other stuff. No. I'd blow up the motor if I ran nitrous because I don't know what the hell I'm doing. But and even because something that we might do, because just have to see with like the fuel lines and everything, if we'd have to do like how much modification do we actually have to do to make it work? I don't know yet. Because might be swapping to that Holley carburetor and just taking the choke off, and I'll have like a summer carb and a winter carburetor. It sounds kind of funny, but might actually do that. Because the Holley, I think it has better jets in it, to be honest. I can't remember. I'd have to take the carb apart again to remember what jet size it is. But it's not that hard in a Holley to figure out what jet size it is. Well, because the only thing that I don't know about that, because like, okay, the linkage, if it's gonna be the same or not, like if the throttle cable doesn't have to be modified. Because if it has to be modified, I'm not gonna go with the Holley carb. I will just do. I'll take the Holley carb out, or the jets out of the Holley and put them in my Motorcraft and see how it is. Because I do wonder. Because the thing is, when it melted those plugs, right? That was just a couple weeks ago. If there is a correlation of that with it not being jetted high enough, and then in conjunction with the tires I have on the car, with those tall tires on it now, if I rejet the carburetor, will it make it have enough fuel to actually make it, not bog with those tires or not? Because there's three sort of things that I have in mind with the bogging issue with those tires. Ah, okay, interesting. Wait, what Rob's power? Because the tires themselves. Well, so the tires technically don't raw power per se. It still makes the same amount of power, alas, it's how much power needed to move the tires. That's what changes. True, but it doesn't actually. So it's still at peak power. It's still going to make the same amount of power. It's just how it gets there is going to be a little slower. That's all it is, right? Because it takes more power to move them, right? And that's the one thing, like, because with, like I said, with the plug wires that melted, or the plugs that melted on me, not the plug wires, but the plugs that melted. If there's just not enough jetting in the carburetor, because that could be it. Yeah, well, and it does bog, 100%. If you try and dump the clutch with those, it just kind of bogs down and then goes. So, like I said, because with melting those, is it just too lean? Because at idle, it's not lean. But higher up in the range, it possibly needs more. Because I only have, I think, 48 jets in them. But I think it might need like 50s or like 52s. So, but it's something I'm gonna look into, because like the one beauty of that Motorcraft carburetor I have in the car right now, I can swap those jets out for Holley jets because it's the same size jets. It uses Holley size jets. The only issue is though, because if you know Motorcraft carburetors, you have to take half the carburetor apart just to get to the jets. It's really annoying. And yeah, you think so. Like I said, I want to take a look because I can't remember. Yeah, because like I think they're 47s or 48s. Let's just see. Um, yeah, I wish it was so easy to do that, but to swap the jets, I just wish it was more like a Holley in that regard. Because literally, it's 4 freaking screws, and then you just remove the things by hand. You have 50s, okay. Because the one carburetor I had in the car, that 2 barrel that I had, I don't even know what happened to that carburetor, to be honest. Can't remember. Oh no, I think I gave it back to yeah, that's right. I gave that um to Roy. He has it. You see, and that's the one thing I would like to get a jet kit for that, for the Holley, and for the Holley jets, and have jets between, you know, um, have from like 50 all the way up to about 60. I don't think I'll ever need 60 jets unless if I'm like running a turbo setup on the car. Like if I have a turbo, yeah, I probably need much higher jets on it, and like something that's cool because um you see, that's the one thing I have noticed with the jet kits. It usually starts at around like 50 or 52. Um and that's the one thing, because I'd like to find. And let's just go, yeah, then go 50 to 60. You see, that's the one thing with the elevation. You know, um, hang on, that's something I want to check. Okay, there we go. That's just something I was looking at. Yeah, see, you're a lot higher in elevation than I am. Because if I look, so I'm trying to remember what is mine in feet. Just got to do the conversion. Yeah, so actually you're a little higher than I am. I am 3,585 feet. So, but when I go to Edmonton, because it's actually a big drop off. Like the car runs so much better in Edmonton than it does here. Yeah, see, like, so I'm at over 3,500 feet here, and Edmonton is 2,201 feet. So it's a big difference between the two cities, to be honest. And I make more power when I go up there than when I'm down here. So it's just a little interesting that way. But and that's one thing, because even like jetting the carburetor, like how much jetting do I actually need? I don't know, because I've never had the car in the dyno to figure that out, right? It's one of those things that just figuring stuff out of, and the only way to really know of how much is either get it on a dyno and have the O2 sensor hanging off the exhaust, or get an O2 sensor with an AFR gauge, right? Which a proper AFR gauge is expensive, and O2 sensors are not cheap either. Like a good AFR gauge is like $200. A good O2 sensor is like $100 or more, right? Like it's one of those things, and you don't really want to cheap out on them. Actually, no, I lie. I think they're more than $200. You know, I would like to, but it's just expensive. So it's one of those things that I don't think I'm gonna do. I eventually will in the future. I'd like to, but we'll see. Yeah, well, and see, and the cheap ones, um, apparently the cheap ones are just not. It's not worth cheaping out on. They are terrible quality, from what I've heard. So it's one of those things, like you have to kind of pay up on them. And I've never found like a good quality one that somebody was selling used for cheap. What is this? That's T5. Cool. And sorry, I'm just looking at marketplace and like something. So that popped up on my marketplace. It's really cool. There's only 3 pictures of it, and they're gauging the market to see, how much could they get for this. Now, it's out in BC, so it's a bit of a distance for me. Like Central Kootenay is like a 7-hour drive, give or take. But it's actually an old. It's a 1972, and the pictures suck. But it's a 72 Eldorado flower car, right? And you can tell, like, it needs some work, definitely. It's got the CAD 500 in it, and like those are the only 3 pictures. And it's kind of interesting. The back window looks a little weird, and that's the one thing, because with the one that Greg owns, which I don't know what's going on with that. I'd have to actually go down. Like, I've told him that if I'm in the area, I can try and stop in at the guy's shop and see what's going on with his Lincoln, because it's been there for over a year, supposedly getting painted, and it's like, it shouldn't take that long to get painted. It really shouldn't. So, because like his, and it's because it's a Lincoln Mark V, and it's not actually a flower car. The company that built it did make flower cars, but that's not actually what that one is. It's just straight up a Lincoln Mark V Ute. It's pretty cool. Yeah, and saying he might not have. Because if not, like, yeah, I would. Because I call Greg and just ask him if he wants me to pull it out, and oddly enough, like, even down there, I actually have connections in the Vulcan area to where I could ask around and see who would want to paint that thing. You know? Or I could even go to Calgary for that, go to Red Deer, whatever. Because he has actually trusted me to drive that thing, which is interesting, to drive it, because I expected it being a 79 with a 400 in it just to be a complete dog. And I think it's because the ass end's chopped off of it, so there's a lot of weight taken off of it. If that's the reason why it actually has some get up and go. I didn't wonder that. Which is interesting, because he's let me drive it once, which blew my mind that he actually did let me drive it. I did not expect that. But he did. Which it's interesting because he's let me drive it, but his son, which I know his son is a little upsetty about it, which I don't blame him, to be honest. Because I've driven it, but his son, Jeff, has not. So he has expressed his little being upset. That's true. You know? Um, and like, because there's a little clip of me driving it, very small clip, and I'm listening to an 8-track and stuff like that in the video on my channel. You'd have to scroll down a ways. I don't even remember when that was filmed. I would like to do a full sort of video on it, because I haven't yet. See, that's the one thing. I have no idea if he's a bad driver or not. And I only drove it, so I drove it basically like the river road. Drove it down the river road all the way to the end where it turns to gravel, and then I turned around on the gravel and came back. It wasn't that far. It was just a few kilometers, to be honest, but it's nice, And the thing rides fantastic. It's such a cool car. The interior needs a little bit of help, but it's not too bad, to be honest. And yeah. Like, we'll see with that thing. But because yeah, like I would love to do a sort of a deep dive of it, do a full proper video of it, because I've had that thing in videos before. Not too many though, and I haven't done just a full feature on that car itself. It's just been as a part of other videos. Like I did a sort of a fleet update video when talking about, I started with the Monaco at the time, so it tells you how long ago this was. This was 2 years ago. So the Monaco, and then I kind of did the rest of the cars in the area, and then just finished off with doing a video on that Lincoln. It's pretty cool, and it's something that I love that thing so much. It is so damn cool. It's everything weird that I love, but it's super luxurious. So let's see if I can find that, because I'm pretty sure it's under the Monaco playlist, I think. I think. There we go, 78 Dodge Monaco. Yeah, there we go. It's in this video, actually. No, crap. I did not mean to do that. Because I'm just trying to... There we go. Come on, focus. There you go. Check that thing out. And it's just so cool of a thing. And the tailgate does open. Yeah, that's just the button to release it. I think I might check out the interior here in this, maybe. Yeah, there you go. I do. And like, just look at the condition. Like, it's so nice. And it's just such a cool rig, right? And it's something that I want it. And like, it's my favorite vehicle on the property, to be honest. Um, you know, and like stuff I've thought about it, of what would I want to do to it, because like I'd make that thing a little bit of a hot rod, to be honest. Get rid of some of the body roll with it, but still have it comfortable, right? Maybe swap the 400 out for like a 460, and just have it like an early 460 in it, of like, say, a 1970 460 out of like a Lincoln. Um, and just make all the power. Change the gear out back, instead of it being like it, because I think it's like a 223. Swap it out for like, even say like a 303 or something. just make it a little bit better accelerating and stuff like that. And I think that thing has rear disc brakes on it as well. So, yeah, okay, come on. What? It'll eventually kick in. Come on. You can do it. Phone. Not phone. You can do it, camera. I believe in you. Oh, definitely. Like, I would love to cruise in that thing. It's such a cool rig. And it's something that's just fun. And it's just something that would just be a bundle of fun, you know? Um, because, yeah, it's not every day you see something like that. And it's super comfortable and it's just fun. And just, even though it's actually quite good on performance with the 400, which it's surprising. But again, it's probably instead of it weighing, actually, let's see, how much does a 79 Mark V typically weigh? Because again, some of the roof is also cut off too, right? So got to remember that there's no proper trunk anymore. It's just a full floor in that regard. So again, there's a few 100 pounds missing. Like there's probably 500 or 600 pounds missing off of it. 1979 Lincoln Mark V. You know what? Let's just go automobile catalog. I love this website because it tells you everything you want to know. So now there is like the standard gear 23, but there was an optional gear of a 275. Um, okay, you do know the website. That's awesome. Yeah, because like it only made 159 horsepower, but 315 foot-pounds of torque. Right, and it's only a 2-barrel, and it weighs 4,786 pounds. Now, because it might only weigh, because like I said, no back seat in the car anymore. No rear interior of the car really. The roof is cut back a bit. There's no trunk on it. I think the thing probably weighs maybe like 4,200 pounds, to be honest. Give or take. You'd have to actually have it on the scales to know for sure, but the Sage. Oh yeah, yeah, basically. And what's cool because like that has a 9-inch in the back, and it's got some bits. Which actually, when I was in the junkyard with Team Mechanic, we actually spotted a Lincoln Mark 5 that happened to be a 78, but it had the 400 in it, which I was surprised to see because I thought that was a 79 only thing, but guess not. Um, and the thing is, it was actually a rear disc 9-inch car, which I was surprised that nobody had robbed the rear end of that thing yet, because it's a 9-inch with rear discs on it. Now it's got a bigger bolt pattern. Like I think the bolt pattern is the same as the trucks, instead of the smaller one, which is the cars, right? But it's brilliant, and it's a little wide, obviously, because it's in a Lincoln, but it fits basically perfect underneath the truck. Like you could just yank that rear end out, go put it in a truck, put different gears in it, and have a disc brake conversion on the back of your truck. Yeah, I think so. It's identical to the trucks. I do know that. Like, let's see, Lincoln Mark V bolt pattern. There we go. Let's see, what is Yeah, okay, that is the metrics. Yeah, so. Oh, interesting. Actually, it could be either the small or the big. Huh. There's two different bolt patterns. I didn't know that. They have the 5x127 and the 5x114.3, which the 5x114.3 is literally the same as a Mustang. The 5x127 is the same as a truck, and actually, I believe is the same bolt pattern as the Chevy trucks as well. At least that's what this website says. I just want to look at a different website though. Yeah, let's take a look at this website. This might tell me a little better because I don't know that just seems wrong. Yeah, because that says 5 by yeah. Yeah, okay, no, so that other website lied. It's definitely the big bolt pattern. The 5 by 5 actually, not 5 by 4.5. It's 5 by 5. So there you go. Which yeah, like I'm pretty sure is the same as a Chevy truck as well, which is interesting. So same as a Chevy truck, which would be the same as a Buick Riviera. So what's interesting is if you want to put some really cool wheels, even though the turbines look fantastic on that thing, but if you wanted a different style wheel, there's actually some Buick Rally wheels off of a 75 Riviera that haven't sold yet. They're a little tatty condition, but they're not bent or anything. They just need to be reconditioned because they're chrome and the chrome's peeling off. But those would look really sick on there, as long as it would clear the hub. Because I'm not sure if it would though. That's the only caveat to that. Because I know like those wheels actually fit on that Chevy C10 that I sold. Uh, yeah, I think so. Um, it's a big fat kitty cat. But I think it's coming up on 2 a.m. now. I should probably try and get to bed. No, because it is late. Um, but I definitely appreciate you coming out. It was a wonderful conversation as always. Um, and like yeah, it's late. So um, take care. Hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend, and yeah, I will chat at you soon. Yeah. Good night, Desi.